It all started with a letter. A thin white envelope slipped under my front door one Saturday morning, stamped with the neat, self-important seal of the Neighborhood Homeowners Association. Inside, a typed notice that didn't just sting, it infuriated me. "You are in violation of multiple HOA regulations," it began, followed by a list of petty grievances. The color of my mailbox, the height of my lawn, the unauthorized shed I'd built behind my own house. And at the very bottom, the threat: eviction proceedings will commence if compliance is not achieved within 14 days. For most people, it would have been terrifying, but not for me. Because what the HOA didn't know, what Karen, from the HOA board, never bothered to check, was that I wasn't just a homeowner. I was the judge for the very county they operated in. It wasn't arrogance. It was irony, poetic and almost cinematic. I had moved into this suburban neighborhood for peace and quiet after years of courtroom chaos. I never imagined the real drama would start on my own street. The woman behind the crusade was exactly what you'd expect from every HOA horror story. A perfectly pressed pastel sweater, an ever-present clipboard, and an attitude that made you feel guilty for breathing too loud. Everyone called her Karen, though her real name was Patricia. She ruled the HOA like a tyrant in heels, walking the sidewalks with the air of a queen inspecting her kingdom. When I ignored her first letter, she showed up in person. It was a sunny afternoon. I was fixing my garden fence when her shadow stretched across my yard. "Good afternoon, Mr. Walker," she said with a forced smile. "I assume you've received our notice?" I turned slowly. "I did." "Then I assume you'll comply before further action is necessary." I smiled back. "Further action?" Her smile sharpened. "You're in violation of Section 8, Paragraph 3, unauthorized exterior modifications. The HOA will proceed with fines and, if necessary, removal from the community." I let the silence hang for a moment, watching the smug satisfaction on her face. She had no idea who she was talking to. No idea that the man she was threatening to evict had signed more eviction orders in his career than she could count. "Well," I said finally, "if it comes to that, I'm sure the judge will have something to say." "Oh, I'm sure," she said, turning on her heel. "And it won't go well for you." The arrogance was almost impressive. I let her walk away, clipboard clutched like a sword, heels clicking down the driveway. I could have ended it right there, called the HOA office, dropped a few names, made a few calls. But a part of me wanted to see how far she'd take it, how far she'd push her fake authority before it hit the wall of real law. 2 weeks later, I found out. The HOA filed a formal complaint with the county, requesting a court hearing for property noncompliance and eviction. It landed on my desk Monday morning. My clerk brought it in with a confused expression. "Sir," she said, "this one's yours." I looked at the file, saw my own address, and couldn't help but laugh. "Well," I said, "isn't that something?" Now, of course, I couldn't legally preside over my own case. So I transferred it to another judge, a close colleague named Daniel who shared my sense of humor and my dislike for suburban tyranny. I gave him the file and said, "You're going to enjoy this one." The hearing was scheduled for the following Friday. And when Karen, or Patricia, walked into that courtroom, she didn't recognize me sitting in the gallery. She was too focused on her performance. She came armed with a binder thicker than a Bible, filled with photographs of my lawn, my shed, even the color of my front door. She spoke with the self-righteous fury of someone who had confused personal irritation for moral duty. "Your Honor," she began dramatically, "this homeowner has shown blatant disregard for the rules that keep our community safe and beautiful. He has defied multiple written notices, constructed unauthorized structures, and set a dangerous precedent for our residents." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous precedent? Yes, Your Honor," she continued. "If we allow this kind of behavior, what's next? Neon paint, chickens in backyards, chaos?" A few muffled laughs rippled through the courtroom. My lawyer glanced at me, struggling not to grin. When it was our turn, my attorney stood calmly. "Your Honor," he said, "my client is fully compliant with county zoning laws, and none of the alleged violations are enforceable under state statute. In fact, the AOA's own bylaws contradict the very eviction process they're attempting to pursue." Patricia bristled. "That's not true." The judge tilted his head. "Do you have evidence of ownership or jurisdiction that supersedes county authority?" "Wealth," she stammered. "It's in the OA handbook." The courtroom fell silent. The judge leaned forward, trying not to smile. "Mom, the HOA handbook is not a legal document." Her face went red. "But," he held up a hand. "No but, Mom. Unless the county recognizes your authority to enforce evictions, you are in violation of due process." I sat quietly watching her crumble. Every ounce of her superiority melted into visible panic. She had no idea she'd walked into a trap of her own making. A place where real law didn't bow to suburban politics. And then came the moment I'll never forget. The judge looked at me, then back at her. "Mom," he said slowly, "do you know who the homeowner is?" She frowned, confused. "Of course. He's the man violating OA rules." The judge smiled slightly. "He's also Judge Walker, the man who signs your neighborhood's civil permits." Her jaw dropped. The entire courtroom went dead silent. For once, the queen of the cul-de-sac had no words. The judge leaned back, amused. I'm going to recommend you and your board review the limits of your authority before filing future complaints. Case dismissed. The gavel hit the wood. Patricia stood frozen, red-faced and humiliated. When I walked past her on my way out, I nodded politely. "Have a nice day, ma'am." She didn't respond. By the next morning, word had spread across the neighborhood. The great HOA Karen had been publicly dismantled in court by the very man she tried to evict. People waved at me with knowing smiles. Some even brought over cookies. The power dynamic had shifted completely. A week later, I received another letter from the HOA, this time handwritten and polite. "We apologize for the misunderstanding," it read. "We look forward to maintaining a positive relationship moving forward." I framed it in my office. Now, every time I walk past my shed, I smile. It's not just a building anymore. It's a reminder that sometimes the people who scream the loudest about rules are the ones who understand them the least. And sometimes, karma wears a black robe.